All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. We're going to bust out the mock draft machine. The youngest in charge is in the building today,
What
Lynnell
it do,
Willingham.
y'all? How y'all
Hello,
doing?
hello. How are you?
I'm happy to be back on, man. It's always hard to coordinate with our schedules, but I love
I
coming
know.
on with you guys.
It is. Your camera looks great, man. You look fantastic. I got to upgrade my camera. You're looking.
That's just basic iPhone, man. Look, that's it. Ain't nothing special. Look, I need my lighting to get better, man.
I got to upgrade my phone too. I've had the same phone for like 10 years. It's
Me
like
too.
it's
Me
literally
too.
like a stone tablet. Let's see, George, while you're pulling up the mock draft machine here, Lionel, as we're running through these 5 picks that the Commanders have, we won't make any trades today. We'll just get through these 5. I kind of like the idea that they'll stick at 5 and take the very best players they can. George, I noticed in a tweet you made that because of the 9 they took last year, even if only they take 5 this year, between the 2 years, it's basically still their full
14
allotment of
picks.
draft
Yep.
picks. They're getting them. That's what
Yeah.
they do need is bodies from the draft to be able to re-sign. That's why this team has had to give out so many 1-year deals. We're getting there, but the picks they gave up were for premier players. Lionel, it feels like they left themselves in what every franchise wants, which is to be able to go best player available at every pick. But do you have a couple of positions that you feel stick out more than others?
I like the way that you framed it, right? They treated free agency like the draft didn't exist. And I think that is what all good football teams, the National Football League, do. You go into free agency, you raise your floor, and you fill all of the holes on your roster from a baseline standpoint, which makes the last question you asked kind of difficult, right? Like, I don't think there is some glaring goal. They can go play a football game right now, and they would feel pretty damn confident about what they have. Obviously, you got to fill out some ancillary pieces via the draft, but I think it's the same positions that we've been talking about since the NFC Championship game, even during the regular season, right? You got to get that. I'm going to call it a difference maker in your front seven, either whether it's by way of a badass defensive tackle or a defensive end that can do a little both and play inside and out. I think you need a difference maker in your front seven that can go get the quarterback on those third and long downs, that can be stout at the point of attack, stopping the run. And then the other thing I'm interested in too is like, and maybe this is already on your roster in-house, if you could add a linebacker and allow Frankie Louvu to rush more and be used more creatively, I think you help yourself out there as well. I think the safety spot, I know Will Harris was a good signing. I think that you need another safety that can come in here and has the commander measurables, right? Will Harris has commander mentality, but a little bit on the smaller side. I was stunned. I don't want to say stunned. I was surprised. I forecasted it being a thing, talking about Jeremy Chin, but I didn't know it would actually happen. I thought he played really well last year. I was actually just watching last night because I'm a sicko and I'm rewatching games right now because I miss it, man. I know how this gets.
I miss it too, for sure.
You need your fix. I was watching the Atlanta game last night. We should have lost versus Atlanta. First and foremost.
Yeah, for
First and
sure.
foremost, we had no business winning that football game. But you saw some of the shortcomings of Jeremy Chin tackling in space, covering. So he's not a perfect safety. I think what we do as fans is it's easy to latch onto a guy and fall in love with him. But they knew what they were doing when it comes to Jeremy Chin. They felt like they could upgrade. I think they'll look at safety in the draft too, but that's another position I look at. And then running back, obviously. Getting yourself a home run hitter that can, get you a 60-yard run on any given down. The days of going 16 plays, eating up 7 minutes of clock, like it was fun to watch last year. I just don't think that's a sustainable way to play football. It is if you can be mistake-free and play perfect, but it obviously makes your job harder as an offense. So if you can get somebody in there that can create explosives for you, I think that you'll be good. But other than that, man, like, I don't think there are a lot of holes with this team, man. I love both the trades they made. I think Laramie Tunsil, this is how fans should know Laramie Tunsil is a dog. The way the Houston media and the fans talked about him on the way out, scoring lover syndrome is what I call that. They don't fully understand why they let go of a premier tackle like that.
Yeah.
I think that they tried to rationalize it by saying they want to pay their young guys. Makes a whole lot of sense. Doesn't make sense at the same time. And then Deebo Samuel, I don't know what the odds are in terms of offensive player of the year, but I would go put that in for him because I think he is going to have a 2021 type of season. When you think about how he's going to be used, he's not even going to be the main focal point of this offense. So it's going to be great to see. I think offensively, they really got a hell of a lot better.
I agree. I think Deebo Samuel is going to fit like a glove. We did a film study with Mark Bullock a couple of weeks ago. I think he fits in the backfield. He's a hybrid of what OZ and Diami Brown can both do. And he can run the screen routes. He can run the routes out of the backfield. I think he's a great pick there, a great addition there. In addition, Lynnell, I think you're right. I think there's no glaring holes on our team right now. There's an old football adage that you use free agency to fill holes and use the draft to add talent, right? I think that's what AP is going to do. I think we have a high floor with our roster, no glaring holes. Obviously, as you mentioned, front seven, adding an edge rusher or something like that is something important. But we can actually play a game right now, as you're alluding to. Final thing I'll say before we start the draft, as Doug kind of touched on, I think Adam Peters is kind of softening the blow, right? He's like, you know what? We had 9 picks last year. We had 2 undrafted undrafted rookies on our team. We have 5 picks this year. That's a full allotment. That's 14, additions over the last 2 years. I think he might stick and pick. I think, he'll kind of look at the board. All things are kind of up in the air. Do you have a preference or do you have any inclination of where Adam Peters is going to go? Do you think he's going to stick at 29? Do you think he's going to just kind of read the board? What are your thoughts? What are your hopes, I guess?
So this is something that I was able to pick up in like early February from Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network.
Absolutely.
When he was early in his process. I'm sure you guys saw the tweet as well. Players 20 through 60, picks 20 through 60 in this draft, you can get a similar caliber of player. So with that thought process, I think it leans to a trade back, but I think it just depends on who's on the board. Like there are certain guys that if they're there at 29, I'm not trading the pick away. You look at I know he's not going to be there, but like my favorite player in the draft is Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama, in terms of what he could do. If you saw his tape against Will Campbell this year on the edge, I know he's a guy that's primarily played off-ball linebacker, but he gave Will Campbell fits, who is what some people consider the top tackle in this draft. So he's got that Micah Parsons ability. I think he frees up Frankie Louvu to do other stuff. I think he gives you a successor to Bobby Wagner, if that's how you want to view him. He's a guy that if he's there, you pick. Amarion Hampton, right, out of UNC. If he is there, you stick and pick because he's a game-changing running back for your team. Donovan Azaraku out of Boston College, who I do not anticipate being there. I think there's going to be a run on edges to where you're starting to reach when you get into the mid-20s. So I think that may lead to a trade back. And then Siobhan Revel out of the East Carolina. Like that to me is you talk about plug and play Dan Quinn corner that allows you to kick Mikey back to the inside because he is going to be a man's man on the outside at corner. I think he's a guy that I'm not trading back for. It's a couple of dudes, man. That's like if they're there, you got to stick and pick.
We actually had Logan Paulson. Yeah, fired up. We actually had Logan Paulson on a week ago, and he said that him and Fred Smoot were doing some film study together, and he said Siobhan Revel would be a top 3 corner in the draft if he wasn't hurt. So we definitely think about that. So let's fire it up and see what's going on. Let's get it going. Let's get the board started. And here we go. Abdul Carter, number 1. I don't know about all that, but we'll see what's going on.
Zoom it in and make it a little bigger.
Maybe I would try my best. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. If I can go full screen that way. Does that make a difference?
Look, I'm young and blind.
I'll read the board off to you. It's kind of hard because we have to kind of adjust our screens too.
Yeah, if the board goes this way, like if the board goes the way that this is going, they're sticking and picking most likely. I think I see a couple of names there that. Oh, that's my guy.
All right, so here we go. So are we doing no trades, Doug? Is that the rule for this one?
Yeah, let's run it through with no trades here, just because we're a little shorter on time.
All right, so we're going to reject some trades. The way it works, Lynnell, you're the guest, man. So talk us through it. Tell us what you like. Tell us who you're interested in. If you have a tough time.
If you can't see him, Lynnell, we're looking at Josh Simmons here. Emeka Ibuka is here. Luther Burden is here.
Yeah, Emeka Ibuka is somebody that I may stick and pick for. Oh, Amarion Hampton's there. Oh, this is if the draft plays out this way.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it plays out this way, there's so many guys here that if there was that Cleveland trying to come up from 33.
Yeah, that's a common one, and I hope that actually happens in real life.
I would take that Cleveland trade.
If that's there, George, and you want to pick that one up real quick, that's fine.
Yeah, I think I might.
Have to be so stringent.
Let me see if I can let me propose it again because I think it was up there before, but I rejected it. Let me see.
Yeah, it was 33 and 94, I think, is what they were offering.
I like it. I mean, if they offered us in real life, I would gladly take it. Let me see.
And there's the only reason, guys, that I'm saying this is because of who's on the board. Like you have, like Josh Simmons. I mean, there are 5-6 guys there that you could take. So when you do the math, you're only going back 4 spots. So there's going to be a guy there. Plus you add 94. So like that's to me would be my thought process. I know what a lot of fans will probably say. Mike Green is on the board. I'm not all the way sold on Mike Green. I'm not ever going to be the guy to try to trash the dude's character.
Yep.
But some of the stuff that I've heard about him, I don't know if he's a commander. So that's the one thing I would say about Mike Green from Marshall. But other than that, like you don't have a whole bunch of.
Lynnell, I'm with you. I don't think Green's going to get the commander tag.
Yeah,
I could be way off on that.
I just don't. I just don't know. Some of the stuff I've heard, it doesn't seem like he would be their type of cat.
That's great.
That's all right. We'll stick here. I guess
the one. If Ezeraku was there, I'd turn the pick in for Ezeraku right then and there. I think he's got 16 sack a season potential. Like he's got crazy bend in the athleticism. I mean, he plays his face off. Like if you've watched any of him, he's chasing down runs from the backside. They've dropped him in coverage before. Like he's just a super nasty athlete and somebody that I would really like. Emeka Egbuka too is he would be interesting for me as well. I know if Emeka Egbuka was the pick though, if I'm Joe Witt Jr., I'm rolling the hell out of my eyes. Like, damn, can we get some defense, dog? Y'all just spent the whole offseason boosted up the offense.
I think this is a dream scenario for Washington. I think you're right, Lynnell. Emeka Egbuka's on the board, Luther Burden's on the board, Amari Hampton's on the board, Mike Green's on the board. There's even some guards and tackles you can add to you.
Oh, Donovan Jackson.
Donovan Jackson's there.
Ariante Ezeri is a plug and play right tackle. Is somebody that's interesting.
I think Washington would probably realistically trade back if they had the opportunity.
In this situation, I think they trade back. But for here, if we're just gonna pick a guy, gosh, I don't scroll down. Can you go to just the edges? Is there where you can sort?
Yeah, I can do that.
What
I can do that.
Are there?
Yeah.
Or what defenders are there?
One thing I'll say is I did this draft. I did a little mock draft last night. I took Emeka Egbuka at 29, who I love. I think he's a plug and play. Jackson Smith and Jig McClone. I think he's gonna be awesome. I just think it's hard because there's so many wide receivers. If you pick the wide receiver, you're chasing after edges the rest of the draft. It's kind of tricky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Well, do you though? I'm not trying to influence you. That's just what happened to me yesterday.
I'm gonna shock some folks here. I'm gonna go Landon Jackson.
Landon Jackson, okay.
I'm gonna go Landon Jackson. Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah,
that's because he's got the size. You think they prefer Lynnell? I know. Put your camera down a little bit. We're looking at shirt.
If I'm doing just a body thing, I think he's like JJ Watt, bro. Like I think he's got the motor he plays with at that size. If you can coach him up a little bit, he ran at the combine, which was like a big middle finger to everybody else, showing that like, hey, not only does my tape stack up with yours, but I'm a dog ass competitor and I'm gonna go run my ass off.
I love that.
So I love everything about Landon Jackson. I think he is a commander through and through. Yeah,
let's do it. I'm with you. He was a little bendier at the combine than I expected.
Yeah, is it because of the body I'm doing? I think JJ Watt is his comp, bro. Like, and I know people
I
like
think
JJ Watt's a Hall of Famer. He's built just like JJ Watt. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And while I'm with you, I think it'd be nice to have some pure juice off the edge. And those are your James Pierces and your Mike Greens. But they seem like they'd rather be stopping the run while getting to the quarterback. You know what I mean? And that
when you got two pass rushing defensive tackles like Johnny and Deron Payne, like you expect them to be able to, force guys out of the pocket and let your defensive ends just run the hoop, basically. And they don't have to be super twitchy and bendy off the edge.
Look at trade or skip it.
Proposed trade. This is 70, and then you get 107. Who's on the board? I probably would stick here. It depends on who's on the board, though, obviously.
Let me hide it for a second. There's some good players on the board. Walter Nolan's on the board. Mike Green's still on the board. I don't believe that.
Mike Green's still on the board. I'm taking him at 61. Like, there's no chance.
You're getting two edges. You don't care about Lynnell Jackson and Mike Green.
I mean, hell yeah, I wouldn't care. He's too good of a football player.
Yeah, it's too good of a.
But let's see here. One of my man crushes is on the board. I'm a huge Alfred Collins guy. I think out for college.
Okay.
Talk to me about him. I don't know much about him. Why do you like him?
He is 6'6", 335 pounds, and runs. To be that size, if you watch him like on tape, bro, seeing him chase down plays backside, he's super tall. So like the one thing you worry about with an interior defensive lineman that's got height like that is, does he play with good pad level? He does. They line him up at nose. They've lined him up at 3-tech. I think he's a guy that can kind of move around up and down the line of scrimmage. He's got really, really good effort.
I like it. You tell me, bro. It's on you. You're on the board.
I would describe him, man. I really, really like him a lot. Mason Taylor is interesting right here too.
I was going to if you think Mason Taylor is tight end 3 and you're sitting there at 61, I mean, how long do you think about putting on a tight end if you think he's got real long term? Obviously, not a need at all. However, I think he's got freaky talent.
It's tough, right? This is where they get paid the big bucks, man. Because you can make a case for a lot of these dudes on the board.
No doubt.
I really do think that even like Caleb Johnson, I'm a big fan of his. If you're looking at a running back, Junkins was there still too. Like, it could get interesting. What other running backs are there?
Kevin Winston's making noise from the safety spot out of Penn State is still there.
Yeah, I think he would be my safety one.
He tested real well.
What's the problem? Man,
there was that trade on the board too. If you were still interested in that, if you wanted to pick 70 and 107, if you're interested.
Yeah, I'll probably take that.
We'll go for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go for it. And see who else is there when we.
I think if they make trades, this is the place where you do it. I think you hold firm on 29 and let somebody, unless Jackson Dart makes it to 29 and you got somebody just wanting to give you a whole lot to be able to get up there. Feels like sticking at 29 and trading at 61 probably the most likeliest.
That makes sense.
Oh my God, Harold Finnan is still there. Like, there's some guys here. Let's go. We got our edge. Let's go wide receiver here for a second.
Okay, let's take a look for you. Give you the best options. Isaiah Bond's legit. Kyle Williams,
legit. Boy, Kyle Williams is something, man.
You're not going to get him. You're not going to get him this far by the time.
No chance.
By the time the draft gets here, I don't think. Who was I? Maybe it was Logan Paulson telling us about the kid from
Colorado State,
from Stanford.
Oh yeah, both.
I think it's
he had nothing but nice things to say about.
He loved both of these guys. Yep.
Yeah, they have that commander tag. They're gonna block. They got the size on it to be a true X. Like, go running back real quick.
We have Scatterbo. I don't know if I like him. Scootin' Tootin'. We always talk about him. We always talk about him. Scootin' Tootin'. Dylan Sampson.
I'm out on Scatterbo. I know everybody likes him, but I don't know. To me, he's got about the same skill set as the guy we got.
So we have an edge rusher, and that's pretty much it so far. So think about your need. Maybe cornerback, Lynnell. I'll kind of help you out with that one too. We can see what's available there. Nothing too great though. Kobe Bryant, potentially. People like Dorian Strong. Yeah, they're already going.
That's to your point earlier, George. People keep saying that the meat's like from 30 to 60. You get into 30 and 60, and you're racing to try to get back into the 20s. Yeah.
It's up to you, I know whatever you want, bro. Oh, he's gone. I didn't realize that.
Oh, he just dropped.
I didn't realize that. All right. We can kind of improvise until he gets back, I guess. Yes, I guess. What are you thinking about, Doug? Tell me when he's back? Because I'm on the other screen, by the way. I can go back and forth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm seeing Kevin. Well, maybe he's got to. So you can see the lobby though, in case he pops back into the lobby.
No, because I'm on the draft board.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Just a minute. I'm going to
hit him up.
I just want to make sure I can see him.
Okay.
So tell me, I would be thinking Kevin Winslow, the safety, I think is in play here.
Okay.
I think Jack Beck and Illuminor are the two wide receivers that I noticed quickly there that I kind of like.
So from what's popping out to me, Walter Nolan's getting a lot of pre-draft hype going into the draft. It would be surprising
if he was this far down.
It will be surprising if he's on the board. And I guess for the sake of the board, I would maybe pull the trigger and just kind of get the best value there. But add another defensive tackle to that little arsenal. But I don't know if that's it will take our weakness to a strength, but we might be oversaturated there. We have Ken Law, we have Johnny Newton, and we have Deron Payne. So that's definitely, I don't know if we need that pick. Isaiah Bond. And going into the draft process, Isaiah Bond was Texas's wide receiver 1, and he was supposed to be the fastest player at the combine. But then then Golden overtook him. Matthew Goldman from Texas overtook him there. So Bond's interesting. Lynnell was talking about Alfred Collins. Kyle Kennard's a good pick. We already have an edge. I don't know if you want to double up on that. Manor would be solid too. Like for me, Norman Lott, there's a good bunch of defensive tackles. I think if I was a GM, I'd be looking at wide receiver potentially here, or maybe even adding one of the edges and double up. That's kind of where I'm at. But I'll let you pick the final pick, Doug.
So go. Who are the receivers that we have available now?
Let's take a look. Isaiah Bond, Manor, Kyle Williams, Torrey Horton.
I like Kyle Williams here.
Kyle Williams, let's pull the trigger on that. I like it. All right, coming off the board. It's funny. I feel like it's almost inevitable, Doug, if they are going to trade back, right? I feel like what I've learned from Adam Peters, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think he has that little Howie Roseman in him where like he'll constantly try to win the edges and kind of maximize what he has. So I think he's always going to have his ears open. And I think he's not afraid to bite, if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
I can see it. I also like the way they've been currently constructing the roster with the 1-year deals makes me feel like they are confident enough in their NFL scouting side to be able to get those guys that can give you 1-2 years while you continue. I mean, think about all the players that the Eagles are able to re-sign or walk out the building because of all the damn draft picks they have. You know what I mean? So it's like we just need bodies that can get future contracts.
Absolutely. What's up, Big Lynnell? Welcome back.
Man, my phone just overheated on like some.
Oh, damn.
I don't know what just happened. It just kicked me and it turned off. So my bad about that. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We made it work. We picked Kyle Williams while you were gone. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would have done anyway too. So yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so we're back up at 107 right now. So we our picks are Lynn and Jackson, edge, Kyle Williams, wide receiver is where we're at. So we're on the board again at 107.
I think I'm going to go running back. Then we'll go running back here. The best player they say is I'll probably go running back here.
Okay.
This isn't going to be sexy to people, but I really like Ollie Gordon. I think he had a little bit of a down year last year, but if you think about how he was talked about the year before, there were folks talking about him being the other first-round running back. In conjunction with Ashton Genty. I think Ollie Gordon's got good size, home run ability. I think if you watch games, you'll see him break away. I don't know what he ran at the combine or if he ran at the combine, but he's a guy that's an explosive athlete, and I think has the size to like break tackles and have contact balance to come in here and play. I also like the kid out of VTech too. He's like a little home run hitter as well. Someone that's a little bit smaller though. And then RJ Harvey. I'm a big RJ Harvey guy too. I think he's also got a lot of juice, but again, on the smaller side. But I would go with Gordon because of the size and strength, speed combo.
I love that, actually. That's one of the best parts about our show, Doug, is that we get people with different opinions. Like, I haven't really heard much about Ollie Gordon. It's actually pretty interesting, so that's cool.
Now I'm going to go back and check him after this. The RAS score was low, but I'm not strictly a RAS guy. I'll be curious to know what he ran.
So pull the trigger, Gordon?
Yep.
I'll pull it on Ollie Gordon,
yeah. There's a bunch of them in that group. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee is a home run hitter. I'm with you. No, I like RJ Harvey a lot, and think he probably starts creeping up higher on draft boards. As we get to this portion of the draft, Lynnell,
BPA is kind of my mentality right now.
Well, and I'm thinking about like Kyron Lacey from LSU, where maybe there's some, where is this the time of the board where you start really, adding risk versus reward? Like maybe he's not exactly the commander tag, but good Lord, the talent is so obvious.
That Kyron thing is interesting, and I think I don't know what the relationship was with him and Jaden in Baton Rouge. I know he was really close to Neighbors and BTJ, but I don't know about Kyron. But I would think that if there's any team that knows Kyron Williams, it would be the Commanders because of Jaden and their trusting of him. And I think he's such a responsible young dude, man, that like he's got the ability to sit Kyron down and go, yo, like we take you, like you're under my wing the whole time, you're living with me. It's that type of situation.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I say too about Mike Green and kind of the same type of thing, I think they've fostered an environment where they can handle stuff like that.
I agree with that too, 100%, bro, 100%. And I think
there's a difference too between like the Mike Greens who had, like some sexual misconduct type thing pop up previously, and the James Pierce stuff where sounds like maybe his motor doesn't run as high. Like to me, those are two completely different. We got to sort it out type scenarios. Not that either one is necessarily a good thing.
I'll be honest. I'd rather have the James Pierce problem though.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I would say, because I think a foot up your ass would make you run hot. I'll tell you that.
That's right.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Lynnell, you're on the board, bro. Do you want to make a trade or do you want to keep it going? What do you want to do?
Let's stick and pick here. I just think it's about getting the best football player.
No, I think you're right there.
All right, let's do it. Here's the board. You tell me what to do.
Man, let's scroll down slowly here. Oh man, Charles Grant.
I know. I saw
William and Mary is probably the guy that I would go with. I think he can come in and compete. Yeah, he'd probably be the guy I would go with here.
You know what's funny? I want to look up for both of us, all three of us. When Logan Paulson was on, he was talking about Jeffrey Bossa a lot. I want to do some research on him. He was I'm
not familiar with him.
Yeah.
He seemed like a high energy, kind of like a developmental linebacker that Logan likes. So I want to look into him a little bit.
Demetrius Knight, I've heard good things about.
Yeah, he's like your traditional mid 2000s back linebacker. Thumper, a little slower.
You said Charles Grant, right, Lynnell?
I would think you have to right here. I think I've seen mocks where Charles Grant gets mocked to Philadelphia at 32.
Yeah, exactly. He's up there, like second or third round pick.
The receiver from Tennessee is there. I like him. Jamari Caldwell is there. He could play. Excuse me.
I like this. We have Landon Jackson, edge rusher. Kyle Williams is kind of a sleeper wide receiver. Ollie Gordon's a running back. More like a power back, which we're going to add to our offense a little bit. Charles Grant's like a swing tackle that we can put up and down the line. Put it together. I like it. Last pick of the draft, though, 245. So we got to see what we're going to do when it comes around. Lynnell, it's so funny in some DC circles, people are talking about getting a kicker. Would you take would you draft a kicker at 2? Hell no.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No offense to anyone else's thoughts, but
sorry, Deuce.
Yeah. So
Deuce, my man. There's just no way I'm taking a kicker.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. Now this is down in the areas where I've seen Luke Lachey, tight end.
Yeah,
an Iowa kid. Got hurt, didn't play last year. I thought was on his way the year before. There he is right there. Would be an interesting pick in this round. And of course, the name Lachey should be familiar to Commanders fans of a certain age.
Kyron Lacey's floating around. I wouldn't be afraid to take him. It's funny. I drafted him the other day, and people were kind of giving me a hard time. And I was like, man,
have people dug into his situation?
No, I don't think they have. I think it kind of
because he didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's like maybe you know more than me, Lynnell. From what I understand, he was speeding, got in a car accident. I think it might have been a death in the car accident, but then he evaded the scene. That's all I really know. I don't know much more. So
it wasn't him that caused the accident, is what I read, and then there's the reason. That's the reason he left. He didn't know what happened.
Okay.
He didn't, so that's why he ultimately left. But he hasn't. His agent, as soon as it came out, was very adamant about he didn't do anything. Man,
Trevor Etienne, first off, is not going to make it to the 7th round of the draft. Just to say that. And Nazir Stackhouse, another one of my Georgia guys, is down this late all the time. I can't imagine he lasts this far.
I would probably try to. If there's some names at corner that would interest me, that would probably be the way.
I can search if you want.
Looking at.
We got a good look. Those are the best corners on the board.
I'll be real. I'm not familiar with a ton of these names.
Me neither. Go back to the big board.
Yeah, go back to the big board. Wow. Is it crazy to go developmental quarterback here?
Not terribly, if you see.
Not terribly, no. Whatever you think. Honestly, a 7th round pick is like a dart throw. It's a developmental quarterback. It's a special teamer to want to get on your team. That's basically what it comes down
last year's
to.
7th rounder
Was Baptiste,
it's
right?
going to end up being the starting defensive end this year. You heard it.
Isn't that great? Yeah,
Javonte Jean-Baptiste, man. I think him and Dorrance start opposite of each other week 1.
That'll be interesting. He got that upside. He's long.
Yeah, I really liked him. He had a really good camp, and then when we went to the Jets practices, he was a man.
Yeah, You were talking about finding an extra linebacker to free up Lulu. I'm hoping that will be McGee that is already on the roster.
Yeah,
who you know as well as we do, they were really high on last year before he got hurt.
You remember the Atlanta game? Like he started when they came out in base 4-3. Like he was the third backer. Him, Bobby, and Lulu. So, I mean, I guess you have to go Trevor Etienne, don't you? Like
in the 7th round, you do.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll go Trevor Etienne. Yeah, sure. But then people are gonna be like, "You're taking 2 running backs." Yeah, I would love to get a corner in the
draft. It's certainly more of the juice
that.
running back.
Yeah,
why not? Let's do it. It's what we always do, Lynnell. It's gonna be funny. So we always take a screenshot of our draft and kind of put it on the board and like, analyze the draft. It'll be interesting to see what people say. Etienne, we'll see how it goes. That's not bad. I mean, I think it's fills out the roster a little bit. All right, here's our board. What are your overall thoughts?
How do you see the offensive line situation 4 months too early?
Man, it's one of those things where I get frustrated talking about it because like the fans do this thing of where like they hear someone say something and like that's it. If you go against it, like you're like crazy. There's no way in hell. I'm sorry. I have like conviction about this. There's no way I'm bumping Brandon Coleman to right tackle after watching him at left tackle last year. The clear problem with him at tackle is him being on that island by himself. He doesn't have the first step quickness, I think. Like he's an athlete. Once he gets his hands on you, vice grip, doesn't let you go, mauler in the run game. Love watching him climb up to the second level. Could you imagine if you kick him inside to left guard though? And
that's exactly what I'm thinking right now.
That's the battery of your offensive line. Your guard center guard combo is strapped for the next 5 seasons at least. And then you maybe look to upgrade right tackle via the draft over the next year or bring someone in to compete. That's why I wanted to keep Corn Lucas. Like I thought Corn Lucas could have competed. And here's the other thing too: Brandon Coleman being at left guard, he could still be your swing tackle. Like he could still be like if someone gets hurt at left, if Tunsil gets hurt, what am I doing? I'm kicking Brandon Coleman to left tackle, then I'm sliding Allegretti or whoever my healthy guard is. He loved the Nate Herbig signing, by the way. I think he comes in and can compete for one of those guard spots right off the rip. Like so,
the counter, of course, Lynnell, is that Brandon Coleman gave you average to above average left tackle play last year with no preseason and splitting reps the first half of the season with Cornelius Lucas. What does a full offseason at right tackle, just getting honed in on playing right tackle, getting a full preseason slate, and actually being named the starter day 1 at right tackle? I get the concerns, but boy, if you can actually get him at right tackle,
I just look at
solve a lot of problems.
I think if you weigh it, I think the upside is more upside. I think he has a chance to grow to a better player as a guard. Is how I would put it. So, I think he's got, and I don't want to hyperbolize it. I tweeted out. I think he's got all-pro guard potential. Like, when you talk about his movement skills, the strength, like he's got the play strength already. That was the one thing that, like, I think some people worry about when you kick inside. That would be my concern with Wiley. Like some people are talking about moving him inside. Does he have the base to anchor? I think Coleman has that. If you look at how he's built, he's thick down bottom. I think him at guard would be great. Him at tackle, man, it was just he went up against a gauntlet of pass rushers last year too. That's going to be every year. Like that's the NFL,
and
man.
On both sides.
You're in the division with Micah Parsons and the Eagles pass rushers and what the Giants have. So I just worry about him on that island, man. Like, and you talked about him splitting reps. I think they split reps. Like, that benefited him. I think the more snaps we saw out of him, maybe you would have gotten exposed a little bit more. But I like him. I think he's, without a shadow of a doubt, one of your 5 best linemen. And this is a good problem to have in terms of, like, well, where do we put him?
Absolutely.
And I think come week 1, he's in your lineup somewhere.
I like your point, Doug. I think with a full offseason being a right tackle, that's definitely some high upside there.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Lynnell's saying. Like for me, when I envision Brendan Coleman, he's like 6'6", 330, athletic as hell. He played guard in college as well. I think that is a battering ram, having Tunsil, Coleman, Biotis right there, then Cosby right there. You have 4 or 5 offensive linemen solidified for the most part. That's why I'm not opposed. Like if Connerly from Oregon falls all the way to 29, I wouldn't be opposed to taking him. Like he played left tackle in Oregon. You also going to swing over to right tackle. That'll solidify your offensive line for 5 years. So that's definitely intriguing to me. So I don't know.
I've been on record several times. If Justin Simmons or Kelvin Banks somehow falls to 29, you run the card up and be real happy about it, and you figure out defensive end and quarterback whenever it is that you can.
Right. And that's the thing that I like, right? This is why going Ibuka at 29 doesn't kill me either. You have an opportunity right now. Like Jayden's the most important piece of this entire thing.
That's right.
Like no offense. Like we love our edge rushers. Like it's important to get after the quarterback. But if you don't have a quarterback, nothing else matters. What they've done this offseason is insulate him. And last year, like he was probably the least insulated quarterback in the NFL in terms of what he had around him. So you add a franchise left tackle. If you can get a right tackle that can come in there and make you feel comfortable, like it just opens up everything that you could do. He left a lot of plays on the field last year. Jayden Daniels did. And a lot of it had to do with protection and time, not having the time to hit some of these things. Like what Cliff did last year is like honestly remarkable. Like dudes was running butt naked at times. And like you just couldn't get him the ball because of your protection up front, or Jayden didn't see it or took the check down. Another year in this, getting to build off of what they had. How the hell do you stop them? Especially if they get Debo going.
It can't be over-explained how important it was to get Cliff and the whole staff back this year on offense.
Yeah.
Just hugely important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think they got a high ceiling on the offensive side. Like, they could be the best offensive football.
I think that's right.
Lynnell, would you be opposed to just kind of pushing in the chips on offense and not worrying about the defense? Kind of be going, Bengals East potentially over here. How do you feel about that?
Bengals East is probably a little bit of, I don't know what the hell is going on in Cincinnati.
Yeah, okay.
They're tripping. Okay. But I think they're kind of already showing you that that's what they're doing because of the assets that they've given up on that side of the ball to get Tunsil, who I think is going to be a godsend for us. And then Debo.
I think so too.
I look at Debo, man, whether it's him running it, him at wide receiver. I'm thinking about all the screens they threw to Diami last year, all the screens they threw to OZ last year. You get into the hands of a motivated Debo. Like your offense, it's just going to be easy, man. They're going to be in third and short a hell of a lot, and they're going to have the ability. I think they'll be able to have more balance next year too. If you get yourself in these third and manageables, remember that was the key to last year, moving the ball, was keeping first and second down success. I think it becomes easier when you have like a cheat code like Debo, man. All you got to do is get the ball in his hand. It's 5 yards. Like,
does it concern you that part of the problem, part of the reason that he wanted out of San Francisco was because he wanted to be more of that primary wide receiver and not a quote unquote special weapon on the offense? Or do you assume, listen, they already knew that was part of what his concerns were and they got no problem, so I got no problem?
I think it's an interesting way to look at it, right? Because Debo, in reality, when everyone is healthy, it's like option 4 on the Niners offense. Kittle is an option ahead of him. McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings, and Ayuk are all. That's 4 dudes that are considered before him on offense. So I think he had a point, and it made sense why the production slipped a little bit. There are other places for them to go with the football. So I think he is going to come in here. I told you, man, if you can find good odds on it, put $5 on him as Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to be their red zone battering ram. I think he creates mismatches. I think he's just a home run guy, man. And one thing I got on the running backs last year about, I don't think our running backs benefited from having a running quarterback the way that we should have. Like when that backside defensive end can't just slant down and get the back, like there should be more holes and more lanes for them for just to hit it and get 5 yards a pop, man. I thought earlier in the season, B-Rob did a good job of like with vision and finding the hole. I think his vision toward the end of the season tailed off, and I also think they were getting knocked back into him. And that was part of the problem as well. They didn't run block worth a damn. But I'm excited. I think the offense took a massive, massive step forward this offseason. The defense, I still have my questions because if you can't generate a pass rush in this league, you're going to be screwed on that side of the ball.
Lynnell, what are your thoughts on Michael Gallup? I know he was kind of a polarizing addition. Like, I think he's
Yeah.
kind of a low risk, high reward kind of. I don't even know if he's going to make the team. Like, what are your thoughts on Michael Gallup, in your opinion?
I think maybe we're selling ourselves short on what he could be.
Okay.
He's a better football player than Noah Brown.
Okay.
Like, he's always been a better football player than Noah Brown. Does he have the physical traits that Noah has in terms of like being a blocker and doing the dirty work? I don't know. But if he's right and healthy, which I think 2 years removed from an ACL, you get some of your juice back. He's a legit deep threat. Like, he has legit take the top off the defense speed. If y'all remember when he first hit free agency, we were all in on him. Like, the old Redskins regime wanted Michael Gallup.
I don't remember that, actually.
I think we were a football team at that point. They were in on Michael Gallup when he was about to hit free agency. So I look at him as a guy that for sure I think could help out. I just think they go by the old mantra of like just competition everywhere all the time, man. They're going to compete at wide receiver, like 110%. And I think I like the mix of bodies that they have in there. I think they end up keeping 6. And one of them is some sort of special teams help, but like they have a good assortment of guys, which is why I'm like, if Ibuka is there at 29, it's almost like a luxury pick.
It is. It is.
Like, your room's not bad, man.
They have a high floor. I think the only appeal for Ibuka, because he is high talent. Ibuka is a character guy. He's a build-around guy, and what I like about getting Ibuka is that long-term flexibility. It's almost like getting Johnny Newton at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Once we get him, he'll be an addition. Let's say we don't have to re-sign Deebo Samuel. We have some flexibility with contracts moving forward. That's the one nice thing about getting him, in my opinion. But I don't know.
With the guys, and let us know, Lynnell, because seriously, we'll sit here and pep you with questions all day.
No, we're good. We're good.
Who is some? There were a couple of guys last year that they drafted. The fan base was real high on that didn't kind of get that production that I think maybe the fans wanted. For different reasons. Who are some guys that you're looking at this year that they need to step up to be? I mean, crazy what a year is, right? The win projections, like set at 10.5 now. They're going to have last year's draft class. Some of those guys that were missing last year are going to have to be more productive this year. Who you like?
It's not. I'm going to eliminate, and I'm not going to say that I've given up on this guy. I don't have this infatuation with Ben Sinnott like the rest of the base does. I think if he turns out to be something great, if not, he's your tight end 3. He's not playing ahead of Zach Ertz. He's not playing ahead of John Bates. They're going to go 13 a decent amount, but like not so much to where like he's got to have some massive impact. So I wouldn't look at him. Luke McCaffrey, I think, is just a good story. I think the fact that he was in there with Jaden at 5 a.m. every day kind of led people to think he was better than maybe what he actually was. But he's another guy that I think, well, maybe with a full offseason, getting stronger physically, maybe he can surprise you and help you. I like him as a kick returner. He's fearless and runs his face off. Wish he was back there instead of Jeremy McNichols. Maybe we would have been in the damn Super Bowl. But I look at 2 guys, man. They're both on the 3 guys, and they're all on defense. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, I think, has like starting defensive end potential. I really do. He hurt his ankle against Baltimore last year, and like that kind of slowed his development down. But if you remember, like he was playing in the playoff game. He played against
I like that pick by him because it will be important. These late round picks, when you hit on them, make a huge deal. Are you surprised about his Ben Sinnott take? I think that's probably one the fan base is a lot higher on than what he's talking about. He's not wrong. Tight end 3. That's why it was tough on them last year, right? How do you get him on the field?
Exactly. I think Ben Sinnott is kind of polarizing, right? He's most people kind of, you either love him or you hate him kind of thing with Ben Sinnott. I think he is what he is. Like, I think being drafted in the 2nd round kind of puts a target on his back. If he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, he wouldn't have the potentially the heat that he's getting from the fan base. You know, you and I talked about it before, Doug. I think Zach Ertz is a better pass catcher than him. I think John Bates is a better run blocker than him. So he can't get on the field, as you're kind of alluding to, because basically, he just isn't as good as those 2 players. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. I think, I'm willing to give him a shot, but I don't think if people are envisioning like a 70 catch, 60 catch like a year from Benson, it's not going to happen next year. And if it happens, it might be year 3 or 4, like when Zach Ertz retires and things like that. He's not going to have a breakout year by any means. I don't see that coming. But at the same time, I think he's a good football player. I think he blocks. I think he's going to be a nuts and bolts kind of like Chris Cooley type is what that's how I kind of view him moving forward.
It was an interesting comparison that Dave Kluge made last week. I know you missed that one. I was asking him about Ben Sinnott and, how disappointing it was in fantasy last year. And he said, it's really weird and eerily similar between Trey McBride, who was like a low second, early third round tight end, could not find the field until Zach Ertz got hurt in Arizona.
Yeah.
And Trey McBride finally found his way onto the field. I mean, I think if you asked them, like in a secret moment where nobody was around, did they expect Zach Ertz to play? I mean, he played the whole schedule.
17 games. Yeah, I think he played every single game.
I don't think that they had any thoughts that he was going to, lead the team in targets, and target share was way up there, and that he'd be healthy the whole time. So I can see why they made that draft pick. But I wonder if in hindsight, it's a tough one they wish they had back.
I'd love to look at the board and see who was around that pick and see who we could have had instead. So it's interesting. Cool.
You want to do another draft or you want to get out of here? Don't matter to me.
It's up to you, bro. Whatever you want to do. What are you thinking?
Yeah, we can run one more if you want.
Yeah, let's go run one more. Let's do it. Let's get it going.
Right.
Let's jump into it. I want to figure out how to make our screen bigger, Doug, where it's like the full screen and like we could try to do let's see this. Try this out one time. Let's see how that.
Yeah, okay. This is what we use for
there you go. That's actually a little bit sharper, I think. We should try that out.
This is what we use when we do best ball during fantasy season.
Yeah, let's restart. Let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, which I'm excited about. We're just about back into fantasy season, Joey.
We are back into fantasy season.
Somebody was asking me, it was funny, my wife and I went out this weekend went to the bar and watched a little basketball and baseball, and I had a Commanders t-shirt on, and the guy behind the bar was like, "Oh man, must be feeling good to break those things out again." And I was like, well, some of us have always had them out, but yes, it's
yeah, I never put it away, so it feels good to actually wear it. Starting to see it now, but it's funny, dude. I go to the gym, LA Fitness, and people are, elderly, young, females, everyone's wearing the Commander stuff now. It's actually pretty awesome to see. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And the guy next to me was telling the bartender, that we had this Commanders podcast, and they were like, what do you do in the off season? I was like, well, what is that? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, brother, we roll 3 shows a week all year long. Once season start, we get it right into draft. And once the draft is over, we're going to get right into fantasy. And each one of them a little different. I like each one of them differently.
Yeah, that's fun.
Different reasons. I mean, this pick to me, I'm all over. I don't know what the other options were.
Yeah, 38 and 69. So that's pretty interesting. 60. I mean, honestly, like these are, well, I wouldn't want to get out of the first round and go that far, but the second and fourth for Detroit, and then 51, 85. Yeah, so the one that the most intriguing to me would be the New England pick.
Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of picking up extra picks for next year. Detroit was offering a second and a fourth, but
that's very interesting.
But when you think about it, the chance of those being low picks are pretty good. So it's probably more like getting a third and a fifth.
All right, so look at the board real quick. So I hit the trade. We can always go back to it.
Okay.
So we go back 9 picks, right? Picks that I feel comfortable. I would take Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden for sure. Ezuraku, that's 3. Hampton 4. Mike Green 5. I mean, there's a good. Those are 5 players. Connerly 6. Henderson
Benjamin Morrison is in there. I'd take him.
All right, so there's about 9 players we would take at 29. What you're saying, right? So, considering that, you would move back, correct?
And we're talking about moving back 9 spots.
9 spots.
The only thing, and we kind of went through this with Logan when he was on, which I thought made a lot of sense. Like, how excited are you to have Ezuraku, and will you be able to get that? Like, how many people are on here will have a higher? What will the grades be compared to what we're looking at 10 picks later? Like,
it's always, that's what I was saying. It's always sexier to trade back, but then there's also that other side of it. If someone falls to you at 29, you kind of want to take advantage of that too, right? So I think Ezuraku at 29 is a great pick, right? Like Ibuka and Burdens they're kind of floating around, but like I said, I picked a wide receiver last time. Once you pick a wide receiver, you're kind of chasing, in my opinion. So I kind of like Ezeruku. We can go to defensive end and see what else is available. They keep saying Mike Green's going to be around. Like, I'd rather take Ezeruku than maybe Landon Jackson.
Yeah.
I haven't really done that much on Nick Scorton yet. I kind of think he's more of a stiffer player, but maybe you know more than me. I don't know.
No, I agree. Scorton would not be who I'd be looking at here personally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind trading back, but I think we'll
for this purpose.
I think we'll look back at this and be disappointed that we didn't get Donovan Ezeruku here.
Why don't we take him this time?
That's fine. Let's pull the trigger and do that.
Yeah.
Now maybe we'll get to 61 and the kid from UCLA be there, and we say, well, maybe we could have squeezed in better value there by trading back.
I wouldn't be surprised if we picked Femi, to be honest with you. I feel like that's almost like the worst kept secret right now. In my opinion.
Kid from UCLA, it does.
Yeah, I think so. So Henderson's off.
And I love how they didn't bring him on a 30 visit, right? Like it feels like I'd love to know how many of the big names they brought in for 30s last year actually got drafted.
Exactly.
I'd be surprised if somebody at 61, and maybe it's a team like New Orleans. I don't know who they've picked yet, but I see Jalen Milroe is still on the board, and this feels like some time when a team would be willing to trade up for a guy like that.
Mm-hmm. They offered 71 to 131 for him, so we could potentially trade back if we want. Looking on the board, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Junkins, Jaden Higgins is available, Darian Porter, Alfred Collins, Aya Maynor. Like for me, like I don't know how you feel about this. We could trade back, but if we trade back, I feel like we do kind of lose out on some of the high value picks. Like for instance, I think Caleb Johnson or Quinshon Junkins right here is a fantastic pick. I would love to take either one of them, and that'd be great. And pairing him up with Donovan Ezeruku is a nice 1-2 punch, in my opinion. But we can trade back if you want. It's up to you.
What were the offers again?
So the trade offer is 71 to move back 10 picks, and then we get pick 131. I think that was the only pick, and the other one is 95 and a second-round pick for next year.
Yeah, I'm probably not looking to go back. Was that almost 2 full rounds? The KC second round pick next year obviously would be nice, but again, that's going to look like a third rounder. If you want to go running back here, I'm on board.
Can we take a look at that? Let me see if Femi is still on the board. I don't think he is. I think he is 110. It's kind of where they have him on Pro Football Network, so he could be around maybe in the third round. We can see how that goes. But yeah, would you take Junkins or Caleb Johnson? Do you have a preference?
I don't. I think I like Judkins maybe a little bit more.
Me too. I think so too.
Okay.
I'll take it. Let's do it.
I know Caleb Johnson's been the name that's kind of going around. In this spot right here, I'd also be looking at like some of the tackles. I would not mind having a true right tackle to put out there.
Yeah, me neither.
We haven't talked about him a ton on this podcast, but I like Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. And he's just, first of all, I'll take Michigan defensive players, right? Like,
always, right? Every time.
Give me those and Iowa tight ends. I'll take those all the time.
Exactly right.
But if that's another guy you talk about getting the Commander's tag, that dude's got it.
He's a little undersized though, right? From what I understand, I think he's like 5'10" or 5'11" or something. He's short, but like he has like a high motor from what I understand.
He's a demon, yeah.
Okay. There goes Femi. Femi up to the board at 115. But we're good though. We got Ezeruku. And I want to start watching him more. From what I'm getting, Ezeruku is starting to get a lot of hype, as well. He's basically people are loving him more. So I
don't think he'll be there at 29.
Interesting. Okay. All right, so we're on the board now, 128. We have a edge rusher and a running back. And I'll be honest with you, Doug, walking away from that as a Commanders fan, someone that follows the team all year long, I'd be happy. Like I'm like, yo, we're playing with house money at this point, in my opinion, because I think we got a starting running back and an edge rusher. But obviously we can still keep filling out the roster. Charles Grant's interesting. I do like adding to the offensive line. Jeffrey Bossa, we got to start doing some research on him. Like these three right here, Jones, Bossa, and Malachi Moore. We got to start doing some research on them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Malachi Moore at Alabama. And again, draft Alabama players generally, you feel pretty good about that.
Absolutely. Is there a particular direction you want to go? Dante Thornton's here. You can get a wide receiver.
There's not a like Dante Thornton here. I was hoping you'd tell me a little bit about the defensive tackle from Maryland that people like.
So Jordan Phillips, he's kind of like a workout warrior. He had kind of limited production at Maryland, but he's kind of a traits guy, and he's supposed to be like, squatting like 800 pounds, and he's supposed to he's supposed to be like a workout warrior. He didn't really pop to me. He's like a run stuffer, physical presence. But he didn't really have a lot of production in regard to sacks. But like people loved him at the Senior Bowl. They thought like they think he's going to be a better pro than a college prospect. So that's what I see from him. But like there really isn't much to talk about because he's a run stuffing defensive tackle. Really wasn't necessarily. Sure. I don't see him as a huge pass rushing guy.
This guy David Walker from Central Arkansas, I've been hearing more about. 127.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about him. I know a couple of folks that have come onto the pod have mentioned him as like middle round edges in case Washington didn't get it tightened up at the beginning. I'm thinking the kid there from Virginia Tech is the guy that put up the huge numbers at the pro day.
Which one are you looking at? What number?
Was it Powell Ryland at 133?
Let's take a look. Yeah, 9.11.
9.11.
Yeah.
He's a juice guy.
Okay.
So this might be a guy that would be interesting in this range. I don't mind double dipping the ends.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
In this draft at all. Smile London goes one pick before us. That would have been a nice option, and not just because he's from Georgia, but he's what the league's looking for. He's the right size.
There you go.
Charles Grant, I like. Particularly
if you can
convince me that he can play right tackle. That makes it like I think even better. How big is Malachi Moore?
I think it's small. Let's take a look at him real quick. I think it's like 5'11". Yeah, 5'11", 196.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, true center fielder. Natural cover safety. I wouldn't be minded either one of those. All these picks, I would take Thornton for sure. I would take Charles Grant. I would take him. I would take Malachi Moore.
When do we draft again after this?
So going up again, we draft again at 205. That's the tricky part about our draft. We have like 3 picks that could potentially hit, and the rest are just kind of dart throws.
Yeah.
A wide receiver real quick. Let's see if there's anyone good. Not really.
Yeah, and who have we taken so far?
We took Azaraku and Junkins.
Maybe I like Dante Thornton here.
I think so. That's what I was looking at. That'd be kind of nice to get a big body speedster.
And we're not and that list of receivers you put up like
gets unimpressive real fast, right?
After this pick right here, it gets unimpressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how the board shakes out.
I thought it was interesting that Lynnell mentioned the taking a developmental quarterback late, and I'm not against that. You remember the Patriots did that for a while. I mean, that's where you get the Garoppolos and the Brissetts of the world that they were taking in like the 4th round and flipping them a year or two later for 2nd round picks.
Do you find that it's important to get a quarterback that has a similar style to Jaden Daniels, like maybe more of a mobile quarterback, or do you just take the best quarterback available?
If the idea is to be able to develop them and get something in return, then I don't necessarily think that it has to be. I'm also curious to see what the offense will look like this year.
Now that Jaden's developed more,
right? Because I don't think any of them want him just galloping all over the field for the majority of games like you kind of felt he had to last year. We're hoping as they build this offensive line up, right, and can protect him a little better, that you're able to do like that. He's just learning to maneuver the pocket even better than he maybe already is, getting a better feel for like moving up and through the pocket. One of the things like when people talk about what can he do better this year, like pocket manipulation, as long as there is one, I think is where his game goes to the next level. So that was a long way to answer your question. I don't know that you have to. In your quarterback 2, you do. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's important. quarterback 3 or 4 that's on the practice squad, and you're really just trying to like find you something to get some value back out of, draft in the 7th, pick up a 5th in 2 years or something like that. I don't think it matters quite as much.
All right. So here we go. Cam Jackson's pretty interesting. I kind of like him. Caden Brandon from Maryland's pretty solid. I guess we just got a wide receiver as well. Luke Lachey's there. Dante Trader, I kind of know a little bit about him too. Let's see, Willie Lampkin. That's your boy, Willie Lampkin. Not that you like him a lot.
He's a tiny guy.
That's your guy. Yeah, so we have him there. Jimmy Horn Jr., Etienne, Johnny Walker. So it's up to you, man. These are all kind of dart throws here. So for us, we got a edge, running back, wide receiver. So maybe we're looking at some defensive depth or maybe some
click on Tim Smith there and let me see. Right. That's the guy I was thinking about. And then click on Cam Jackson.
By the way, Doug, I like this opening up the board this way. Like,
yes, I do too, George.
I think you make it bigger too. I can make it a little bit nicer that way. So there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, this is much better for sure.
Yeah, Cam Jackson.
Or Lynnell had to bust out his bifocals.
Yeah, exactly.
A 4.55 res, huh?
Yeah.
Not that he needs to be a res guy, but
yeah,
that's pretty.
6'6", 330.
But he's got the size you want inside.
Absolutely.
We've already got running back, right? But that
Jaden Blue's interesting there. I saw that.
That you talk about getting some juice on your team.
5'9", 196.
I don't know a ton about Carson Vinson, but people that do this draft thing have really good things to say about him.
Okay. I don't know much about him either. 9'4", 5-year starter.
I think if we're
3,300 snaps. Jeez.
I think if we're taking dart throws here, I'd like this.
Okay, let's do it. I like it. We'll look into him some more.
Yeah. That's another nice thing about these is when they're done, I go back and try to sort through some of these guys at the end that I don't know nearly as much about.
Yep, and then took in the later rounds. But a couple of these Maryland guys coming off the board.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where your guy Ty Felton ends up going.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I've heard a large range for him.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I think when you go in these mock drafts, you're seeing him like in the 5th and 6th round. But when you're hearing to like draft people, he's like a day 2 pick. So we'll see what actually happens. I'm interested by that.
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't know. I'll bring it on home, Doug. What do you think?
Yeah, to me, this is either Kyron Lacey or Jimmy Horn Jr., I think. Again, I'm a big non-zero stack house. I always put them in all of my regular ones. But for what we're doing here, I mean, I could see those as being more impactful if you hit on one of those guys.
Yeah.
Well, a couple other guys just a little bit lower.
Shiloh. That's hilarious.
I don't think he's getting drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that one. The Brew McCoy, I hear good things, is the guy that was on the other side.
Okay. Portman. Yeah.
But I mean, if we're going wide receiver, I'd prefer either of the other two guys that we're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not afraid to take Lacey. I think Lacey's pretty damn interesting, to be honest with you. His route score is pretty low, 5.98. It's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I got no problems with that.
All right, let's do it. Let's wrap it up. It's funny. Every single draft I have Kyron Lacey like in the 5th or 6th round. You might as well, right? It's kind of a late pick.
I mean, to your point earlier, that's kind of what that round is for, right? It's like building your core special teamers and dart throws that you hope, will be something.
Yeah.
I really like this one.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, actually. It's pretty interesting. I'll save this one as well. Doug and George. Perfect. All right, two mock drafts and back to back. That was good stuff today. That was awesome. That was pretty interesting.
To see what the chat thinks on Twitter after we post them and see which one everybody prefers a little bit, maybe, and why.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do it again. Ian Cummings is on with us Wednesday, so we'll do
Mm-hmm.
this again. I'm always excited to hear his
Yeah.
insights. He's one of the better fellas in the space. So
Absolutely. He knows his prospects inside now. I'm definitely going to ask him a lot of questions. So it'll be really
yes, he
good.
does. All right, buddy. Well, until Wednesday, thanks everybody for watching. And George, we'll see you.
Peace.